Conas atáisih is mis bara Tá mé sa ballach líis agus tá mé ag cleachta an port seo agus an animar an port is Father Kelly's agus is relay so agus freisin tá mé ag cleachta mo Gaeilge freisin níl long Gaeilge gomsa ach bhálum mo Gaeilge cumad agus úsáid a buint as an mo Gaeilge ach níl sé robá anis ach tá sim mór a gomsa Gaeilge agus leis an cúpla focail. So I'm going to try a tune called it's a well-known reel. I haven't done it, I don't think, before, and it's a very well-known tune. Father Kelly's. So I'm going to have a shot of it. I must try this on the fiddle at some stage myself, just in my own learning. But anyway, this is Father Kelly's. And I'm going to play really slowly in this. And I've got, I talked about ornamentation before, and in general ornamentation, one of the things that I keep saying is know the layout of the fingerboard on the concertina. Try and be dexterous enough to be able to note so for example, like there's high E and high D on the left hand side, and high D and a high E on the right hand side, and to be dexterous enough. It's just an example, but basically be dexterous enough to use those notes on both sides. So generally most of the tunes that I play, I would be using the high D and high E on the left hand side, on the inside. But when I first started playing the concertina learning, I was actually taught by a non-concertina player at the very start, and I was shown to use the high D and E on the right hand side, but there was no kind of cognizance or thought process given about using the notes on the left hand side. So that's kind of changed now with the standard of teaching across the board. Now that concertina playing has been way more developed in terms of teaching structures and all that kind of stuff, and so there's great teachers out there. I'm not a teacher myself whatsoever. This is just a personal YouTube project that I started up during COVID, and I just kept adding tunes. So anyway, this is Father Kelly's reel. Okay, so before I do that, what am I going to say? Sorry, ornamentation. So there's loads of things you do. Double octave playing. That's just an example of it. Grace notes and grace notes are generally speaking, you can grace note the note that's with the note that's closest to it, and I'm talking about even in terms of, it changes, but it's almost the note that's handy to it. Like for example, if it's a C natural on the draw, it could be C E C, or it could be C D C, which is a different sound. So you can change the ornaments within the tune as well, depending how you. So there's a lot you can do. So generally speaking, you've got grace notes, kind of modified rolls that you can use on the concertina, because we don't have the rolls, say that the rolls that might be done on say on the fiddle or pipes, and so a lot of them are modified, so that they kind of try and copy, but they modify it for the to modify it to the instrument itself. So that's just an example. You've got grace notes as well. So a grace note is an example, like a high G, you just grace it with the high B next to it. And you can do that for all notes. So basically you could go through all the notes in the concertina and try and grace note them, even just as an exercise. I'm not going to go through like low D, D, A. You can do it at a G. So generally speaking, if you're grace noting a note, it will have to be on the same action as it's. So if you're noting a note that's on the pull, then obviously you put in a note that's on the pull as well. So you would never grace note drawing a note and then pressing in for the grace note and coming back out again. I know that sounds, but it's things like that that can change it. So effectively grace notes, all grace notes, triplets, rolls, elongated grace notes, and then you've got an attempt at doing crans. They're all just tricks that you can use on the concertina to variance or ornament a tune. You can also uh, don't always think about putting in ornaments. You can take out notes as well, like put in a gap. Like sometimes it's nice, like you're playing a tune, and instead of putting in an extra note, you take out a note, and you put a pause in, and you've got that kind of surprising pause once it's done within the rhythm or the melody, and the melody of the tune as well. It can vary it. And then other tricks, you can lentil notes, so you can like draw out the D, instead of if they're in that, and take out so I'm lentil the D. Is a kind of ornaments, and it can be done on any notes. So it's just like, have a toolkit of ornaments that you can put in and take out as you're playing, and it just they're just variations in tunes. Anyway, this is Father Kelly's. I can play it very, very slowly, and the notes are widely available on session.org. There's loads of things where you can just pick up the notes. That's the tune. I suppose in terms of, like, I'm being experimental there. What I mean is, like, sometimes if I was practicing, start trying to start putting in bum notes if you want to, and then see how that works out in terms of ornamentation. Like if you can try and keep it within the rhythm, and even if you put in a phrase that completely, I'm just talking about, like, in general terms, if you're playing a tune, once you can keep it within rhythm, keep the structure on it, it's almost like, your rhythm is the most important, and obviously the melody is important, but like you can mess around with yourself and put in your ornamentation on it. The other thing that could be good and interesting for yourself if you're learning is to record yourself playing and listen back, and you can find out what you like about you, and it's hard to do, but look, it can be good as well, because after a while you can go, oh, I always thought I'm doing that, but it doesn't sound great, and you can start modifying it yourself as you're playing. So the other thing is always, just enjoy the action of learning tunes. So that's Father Kelly's reel, and I just played it a good few times, very, 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 very slowly. So notes widely available on the internet, and I was just experimenting as I was playing. I was putting in flat notes, etc. into it and all that. It's kind of messing around with it. Anyway, Father Kelly's reel. Should have well.